I have a photo on my phone. I take it out sometimes just to remember what pure rage feels like. It's my pond, or what's left of my pond. Just dirt and concrete where water used to be. But here is the thing that still makes my hands shake. My daughter was supposed to graduate high school that day. Instead, I was standing in front of a bulldozer watching my neighbor destroy 5 years of my life in 4 hours. He didn't just fill my pond. What he didn't know was that his decision to destroy my pond would eventually destroy his entire life. My name is David. 5 years ago, I bought this 1.5 acre property in the suburbs with my wife, Sarah. But the real treasure on that property, the pond. Not something I built, a natural pond that had been there for decades. It had cattails, lily pads, a small ecosystem. I spent my first summer just sitting on the dock with a beer, watching the water. I'd laugh back and say, I was becoming a peaceful asterisk guy. Real memories, the type you can spot from a mile away. Tight polo shirt, sunglasses on his head, talking about maximizing assets and development potential. We weren't unfriendly. We'd wave. He'd ask how the family was doing, but there was always this vibe. This sense that he was looking at my property and doing calculations in his head. He had plans. Blueprints, even. He wanted to build a strip mall on his side of the property. Just a small development offices. A few retail spaces. Professional but modest. And he wanted to buy a strip of my land, the part that bordered his property. He'd pay good money for it. I looked at those blueprints, and I immediately saw what would happen. If I sold him that land, his parking lot would expand. The trees would come down. My pond would be right there, visible from his development. Not interested, I said. Polite, but firm. But his eyes said something different. Brad had filed a formal complaint. I laughed when I read it. Because here's the thing, nobody tells you about property. There are thousands of regulations, zoning codes, environmental rules, setback requirements. Most people don't even know they exist. And if someone wants to weaponize them against you, you're basically defenseless. I called a lawyer, spent an hour on the phone listening to him explain that yes, there are regulations about water retention. Yes, my pond might technically exist in a gray area. Yes, Brad could legally challenge it. Probably not, the lawyer said. Environmental concerns, mosquito breeding grounds, potential flooding issues. Each one was filed with the county. Each one required me to pay my lawyer more money to respond. I was spending $500 a week just to defend my right to have a pond on my own property. Baby, maybe we should just sell him the land. Is it worth this? I understood her concern. I did, but there was something that made me dig my heels in. This wasn't about the pond anymore. This was about the principle. This was about a man who couldn't handle the word no, who decided to weaponize the system to get what he wanted. But I didn't get 2 weeks. I ran outside, still in my pajamas. Brad was already there, standing with a clipboard, watching his crew systematically destroy everything. What are you doing? I screamed, like he'd rehearsed this moment in his head 100 times. County approved my land modification, he said. Your water table drains toward my property. Technically, I have the right to remove hazardous water retention on adjacent land. Was your pond, he corrected. Not anymore. I watched, paralyzed, as they filled it with dirt. My 5 years of memories. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just kept thinking about how Brad had played the system perfectly, how he'd known exactly which regulations to cite, which complaints to file, which loopholes to exploit. He'd taken something from me, and there was nothing I could do about it. This is insane, he said. Brad can't just destroy your pond. Yeah, but illegally. David, I'm a civil engineer. I work with county codes. I didn't think it would matter. Brad's parking lot, the one he's supposed to build. I pulled the permits. He violated 17 building codes. Setback requirements, drainage calculations, traffic impact studies. He falsified the environmental reports. David. He paid an inspector named Richard Chun $15,000 to sign off on paperwork without actually reviewing it. I felt something shift in my chest. And they will, if someone files a formal complaint with the right evidence. Someone like me, for instance. I could sue Brad. But lawsuits take years. He'd tie me up in court while he built his development and made his money. Mera told, Marcos filed the complaint. Included photos, documents, and evidence of the fraudulent inspection. 3 weeks later, the county launched a criminal investigation into Brad's development. 2 months later, they found exactly what Marcus said they'd find. Fraudulent environmental reports. Forged inspector signatures. The paper trail led straight to Brad's office. Charged with fraud, falsifying government documents, and bribery. His investors got cold feet. They pulled their money. His contractors abandoned the project. His parking lots, the one he'd destroyed my pond for, never got built. Everything halted. Brad spent 6 months fighting the charges, hired expensive lawyers, tried to negotiate deals, but the evidence was overwhelming. The inspector cracked. The emails existed. The money trail was clear. He lost his development company, lost most of his money to legal fees, lost his reputation in the development community. His wife filed for divorce while he was dealing with the criminal case. I found out through mutual acquaintances that he had to file for bankruptcy, that he moved out of state, that he's working as a project manager for someone else's company now, taking orders instead of giving them. All of it traced back to that anonymous complaint. I'm in the cereal aisle, reaching for Cheerios or something equally mundane, and I hear a voice. He looks destroyed, like something inside him broke and never healed. Then I realize he doesn't know it was me. He knows someone filed a complaint. He probably has theories, but he doesn't know for certain. And in that moment, I realized something that changed everything. He's not my enemy anymore. We didn't say anything else. He moved past me, and I watched him disappear around the corner of the store. I never rebuilt my pond. Some things, once destroyed, they stay destroyed. Here's what I learned that I need you to understand deeply. But the most powerful thing you can do, understand the system they're trying to exploit, and let that system be their downfall. Brad didn't lose everything because I destroyed him. He lost everything because he committed fraud. He lost it because he couldn't handle the word no, and that weakness made him careless. The lesson here isn't about revenge. It's about this. Asterisk. Asterisk. The systems designed to protect society. They work. Not perfectly, but they work. And people who think they're smarter than those systems, people who think they can cheat and manipulate and harm without consequences, they're always wrong. If you're facing someone who seems more powerful than you, more connected, more resources, remember this story. Remember that the people who succeed in hurting others do it through the cracks in the system. And those cracks are also doors. If you see fraud, report it. If you see corruption, document it. If you see injustice, don't accept it. And sometimes, the best justice isn't something you do. If this story reminded you that you're stronger than you think, that the system can work, if you use it right, hit that subscribe button. I've got dozens more stories about people who stood up, who fought back, who refused to be victims. We need to remember that good people can win.